is a better 2 episode. One, I know it wasn't the best fit, and I didn't pull in chat to see if people wanted to play this game. But it is kind of fitting because not many people know. This is what started the gameplay series. This is supposed to be my stream down. So it's fitting that we start the 200 episode special. You know, instead of requesting game, requesting game was requested, it's trash. So I said, but I'm still doing a requested game. If anybody requests a different game, if you want me to play, go ahead, I'll play it. Any game. That's so welcome. I'll probably do it in the series if we get something soon. Just go to the specials, I guess. But yeah, that's what it'd just be like a 13 parts in the series episode. Yeah. Okay. 200 sub episode. I will be doing voices for this. So get ready for some ad voices. I know people say they like my voices, but I myself talk. Doing these voices. Watching the video and hearing myself do the voices. Yeah. I don't know why you like it. Anyway, what's this? Sorry, Danganronpa. Okay, this is my last save, so we're gonna be doing the class while behind the last one on the left. I set into and those switch shot. This time the cooking was loud to it. Can't imagine getting used to the mental pressure that comes with execution. In that dusty darkness, and nobody said. We stood there, silent and slow. After a period of time, doors opened. That is all it was a blinding light of despair. Oh shit.
I can't wait! I can't wait!
I've been waiting for this. I feel like it's been forever since we got together like this. The time for our finest joking jobs has passed.
Thrills! Chills! Kills!
Let's get on with the show. Yeah, we get it. Yeah. Let's see. Kids need to go back. Oh yeah.
Let's begin with a basic explanation of the class trial. So, your votes will determine the results.
Yeah, we know how this
If
goes.
you can figure out who done it, then only they will receive punishment. But if you pick the wrong one,
This is the 5th time you've told
then
us.
I'll punish everyone besides the blackened, and the one that deceived everyone else will graduate. Okay, well, I'll leave the rest up to you.
Well then, let's discuss the specifics of the victim. First, we need to clarify who exactly the unidentified victim is.
It's Kyoko! There's no other explanation!
But Kyoko's standing right there.
No! That's a ghost!
But she has legs and stuff.
Well, that's just because... she's like the latest evolution in ghost technology!
There's a limit to how much ridiculousness I can tolerate.
Okay. So I just have to prove that the corpse isn't Kyoko, right? Then let's compare Kyoko's traits to the traits of the dead body.
Her traits?
I got it! I'm talking about her gloves. They'll give us some insight into the mystery. I'm sure of it.
It's okay. Now we were running on for like 3.5 hours. Yeah. Maybe you were playing Fortnite for like 4 hours, but I think we were running for like 3 hours. Yeah. When was that show? Yeah, we were running for like 3 hours and 19 minutes and 7 seconds.
In that case, I think it would be helpful if someone explained why she actually wears those gloves.
And would you happen to know the answer?
In fact, Monokuma told me. Apparently you have scars on your hands you don't want anyone to see.
Oh! You know, now that I think about it, the corpse wasn't wearing any gloves, right?
They probably just got burnt up in the explosion. I'm not convinced. The ghost is just trying to fool us all.
It's obvious that it's not Kyoko because Kyoko's standing right there. Oh, okay, we're getting right into it.
That Kyoko there is just a ghost.
Impossible.
Okay, then prove it. Prove she's not a ghost.
The dead body wasn't wearing gloves.
They got burnt up in the explosion.
Then she was wearing gloves before the explosion.
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing gloves. Because that corpse is absolutely Kyoko.
This entire discussion is idiotic.
Don't know which one of those things was it.
That Kyoko there is just a ghost.
Impossible.
Okay, then prove it. Prove she's not a ghost.
The dead body wasn't wearing gloves.
They got burnt up in the explosion.
Then she was wearing gloves before the explosion.
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing gloves. Because that corpse is absolutely Kyoko.
This entire discussion is idiotic.
That Kyoko there is just a ghost.
Impossible.
Okay, then prove it. Prove she's not a ghost.
The dead body wasn't wearing gloves.
They got burnt up in the explosion.
Then she was wearing gloves before the explosion?
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing gloves. Because that corpse is absolutely Kyoko!
This entire discussion is idiotic.
Okay, I have no idea what I'm supposed to shoot at.
That Kyoko there is just a ghost!
Impossible.
Okay, then prove it! Prove she's not a ghost!
The dead body wasn't wearing gloves.
They got burnt up in the explosion!
I'm supposed to shoot at one of these kids.
Then she was wearing gloves before the explosion?
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing gloves. Because that corpse is absolutely Kyoko!
This entire discussion is idiotic.
That Kyoko! Okay, then prove
The dead body
they got burnt up in the
Then she was wearing gloves.
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing gloves. Because that corpse is absolutely Kyoko!
This entire discussion is idiotic. That Kyoko! Okay, then prove
The dead body wasn't.
they got burnt up.
Then she was wearing.
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing gloves. Because that corpse is absolutely Kyoko!
This entire discussion is idiotic.
That
Kyoko there! Okay, then prove
The dead body
they got burnt up.
Then she was wearing gloves.
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing, because that corpse is absolutely
This entire discussion is idiotic. That Kyoko! Okay, then prove
The dead body wasn't wearing.
They got burnt up in the explosion!
Then she was wearing gloves before the explosion.
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing gloves.
Yep, got it.
No, that's wrong. Let's go! No, there's no way the corpse was wearing gloves.
And I was just guessing. I didn't actually know.
Whoever it was, they were wearing fake nails, remember? I imagine trying to wear gloves over nails like that would have been a pretty big pain. Besides, Kyoko wears gloves to hide her hands, right? It'd be pretty weird for someone who's self-conscious about their hands to wear fake nails, don't you think?
Jeez, man, you don't know women, huh? They're complicated like that.
If anyone doesn't know women, it's you.
Well, Kyoko, any thoughts?
These gloves were custom made to the size of my hands to make sure they don't interfere with my daily life. If I wore fake nails, the gloves wouldn't fit properly.
Then that's that. The dead body doesn't belong to Kyoko.
Which should have been obvious since she's standing right here.
Okay, so then, who's the real victim? First, we need to figure that out.
That's the first thing I said. You're the one who's been dragging us around in circles.
Anything else? Okay, here we go.
If Kyoko really is still alive, then who died?
There's gotta be some way to figure it out. I don't think so. The face was scorched beyond recognition. And there wasn't any description in the Monokuma file. Well, if we can't identify the body...
Then there's nothing else we can do, right?
Okay, it's supposed to.
If Kyoko really...
Then who died?
There's gotta be some way to figure it out. I don't think so. The face was scorched beyond recognition. And there wasn't any description in the Monokuma file. Well, if we can't identify the body...
And there's nothing else we can do, right?
If Kyoko really is still alive, then who died?
There's gotta be some way to figure it out. I don't think so. The face was scorched beyond recognition.
And there wasn't any description in the Monokuma file.
Damn it!
Well, if we...
And there's nothing else we can do, right?
If Kyoko really is still alive,
Then who died?
There's gotta be some... I don't think so. The face was scorched beyond recognition, and there wasn't any description in the. Oh, if we.
Then there's nothing else we can do, right? If Kyoko really. Then who died?
There's gotta be some way to figure it out. I don't think so.
The face was scorched beyond recognition.
Not that one. That was that one.
Shoot!
If Kyoko really is still alive, then who died?
There's gotta be. I don't think so. The face was scorched beyond
Recognition, and there wasn't any description
in
of
the Monokuma.
it.
Oh, if we.
Then there's nothing else we can do, right?
If Kyoko really is still alive, then who died?
There's gotta be. I don't think so.
the face was scorched beyond recognition.
Not that one either.
Shoot!
Maybe I gotta.
Kyoko really is.
Then who died?
There's gotta be. I don't think so.
The face was scorched
Beyond recognition, and there wasn't any description in the Monokuma file. Oh, if we.
And there's nothing else we can do, right?
If Kyoko really is still alive, then who died?
There's gotta be. I don't think so.
The face was scorched beyond recognition.
And there wasn't
hate
any
that.
description in the Monokuma file. Oh, if we can't identify the body.
Then there's nothing else we can do, right?
If Kyoko really. Then who died?
There's gotta be. I don't think so. The face was scorched beyond recognition, and there wasn't any description in the. Oh, if we.
And there's nothing else we can do, right?
If Kyoko really is.
Then who died?
There's gotta be some way to figure it out. I don't think so. The face was.
Scorched beyond recognition.
Okay, so I gotta get the.
Shoot!
If Kyoko really is still alive,
Then who died?
There's gotta be. I don't think so. And there wasn't any description in. Oh, if we can't identify the body.
then there's nothing else we can do, right? If Kyoko really.
Then who died?
There's gotta be some. I don't think so.
The face was scorched beyond recognition.
Okay.
Shoot!
Maybe I gotta shoot one of those things.
If Kyoko really is still alive,
Then who died?
We'll shoot
Gotta
after
be.
that.
I don't think so. And there wasn't any description. Oh, if we can't identify the body.
There we go.
No, it's wrong.
I thought it was that one for some reason. I swear it was that one.
There was one clue left behind that we can use to identify the body.
What? For real? If you're lying, you'll die a cruel and unusual death.
cruel and unusual death. This I gotta see.
She's just being stupid. Ignore them, Makoto. Tell us what you're talking about.
The key to figuring out who it was is the tattoo on the back of her hand.
Oh, yeah. The design's pretty strange, huh? Is this a dog? Her master must have made her get it. To be like, you're my bitch.
Seriously? It really did something that humiliating?
No, that's not it. The identity of the victim is hidden within that tattoo.
Oh, really?
Okay, not that one. Oh, fuck.
Shoot!
I died. Great. Yeah. You're gonna...
Is this really the end for all of us?
Danganronpa.
Oops. Oh, fuck, now I gotta do that all over again.
Let it.
I got it!
That Kyoko there is just a ghost!
Impossible.
Okay, then prove.
The dead body wasn't wearing gloves.
They got burnt up in the explosion!
Then she was wearing gloves before the explosion.
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing...
Because that corpse
is absolutely...
This entire discussion is idiotic. That Kyoko... Okay, then prove.
The dead body wasn't...
They got burnt up in the...
Then she was wearing gloves.
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing... Because
that corpse
is absolutely...
This entire discussion is idiotic. That Kyoko... Okay, then prove.
The dead body wasn't wearing gloves.
They got burnt up in the...
Then she was wearing gloves before the explosion.
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing gloves.
No, that's wrong! No, whoever it was,
Kyoko really is still alive.
Then who does?
It's gotta be so... I don't think so. The face was scorched beyond recognition, and there wasn't any description. Oh, if we can't identify the body...
And there's nothing else we can do, right?
If Kyoko really... Then who does?
It's gotta be so... I don't think so. The face... And there wasn't any description. Well, if we can't identify the body...
no, that's wrong! There was one...
What? If you're lying, you'll die a cruel and unusual... She's just being stupid.
The key to figuring out who it was is the tattoo on the back of her hand.
Oh, yeah. The design's pretty strange, huh? Her master must have made her get it. To be like, you're my bitch.
Seriously? They really did something that humiliating?
No, that's not it. The identity of the victim is hidden within that tattoo.
Oh, really?
I got it!
Oh, it was.
The Fenrir Mercenary Corps. That's the name of the military group Mukuro Ikusaba belonged to.
Okay, so...
To show that they're a member of the team, each soldier that joins the squad would get a tattoo representing Fenrir somewhere on their body.
Fenrir?
Oh, fuck. Oh, whoa. Whoa.
Now I understand. The representation of Fenrir is a wolf.
Fenrir, the Wolf of Ragnarok. It's from Norse mythology. A huge, world-ending wolf beast. He's the child of the trickster god Loki, and a female giant.
Man, after all this time, we finally got a glimpse of the literary all-star.
A wolf tattoo. And that means...
Exactly. The body we found had a tattoo of a wolf. Which means that person must have once belonged to Fenrir. So it must have been Mukuro.
What?
Hold on. Isn't she the one that was behind this whole thing?
You sound surprised, but you're absolutely right. Yes, indeed. The trial this time is to solve the murder of Mukuro Ikusaba.
Are you saying the mastermind is dead? Now we have to have a last trial?
No. It means we were wrong in thinking that Mukuro was the mastermind at all.
But I mean, being the ultimate despair seems like a pretty mastermindy title to me.
Maybe we shouldn't have been thinking of her as the ultimate despair in the first place. After all, looking at her profile, I didn't see anything that would fit such a description. All it said was that she was the ultimate soldier. If I remember correctly, that other information came from... Kyoko. That's what you told Makoto, right?
So that means Kyoko got it wrong?
Who was she? Who was Mukuro Ikusaba? She's been gone this whole time, and when she finally turns up, she gets killed. Usually when there's a scene where an important character dies, it has a lot more detail.
So you're saying she wasn't an important character? Which would mean she was the same as us. Just another participant.
Then who's the real mastermind?
It must have been the Hope's Peak Academy headmaster after all.
No, the headmaster has nothing to do with it.
But how can we trust that? We already know your information about Mukuro was wrong.
My information was not wrong.
Okay. We're in the middle of a trial right now. Figuring out who killed Mukuro is first and foremost. Please limit all future prattle, chatter, and chit-chat as much as possible.
Fine. Uncovering the identity of the mastermind will have to wait. But remember this. No matter what happens, we will find out who you really are. I stake my family name on it.
I have officially decided to completely ignore all such attempts at provocation. Now then, just so nobody's confused, let me state this one more time for the record. The reason we're having a class trial is because a murder among the students has taken place. Hammer that point straight into your big ol' brains!
What you're saying is that both the victim and the culprit are part of the student body?
Then, one of us killed Mukuro?
Wait, no! There's a chance that there's some mystery 17th person who's been hiding all along!
Nope! There are only 16 students in total that have been taking part in these events.
Seriously? Then, one of us killed Mukuro?
Who did it? Who's the killer this time?
Get a hold of yourself. We've already narrowed down the list of possible suspects.
Huh?
I'm sure you realize who I'm talking about, right, Makoto? Who the evidence points to?
I got it! You've narrowed it down to Kyoko and me, right?
Why do you say that?
Allow me to explain. Just after nighttime last night, I went to the garden, so I can confirm that at that point, there was no dead body there. So, the murder must have taken place after I left the garden. However, Hiro, Toko, Hina, and I were in the gym the entire time.
The gym?
That's right. The four of us were there trying to dismantle Monokuma. The whole time, we were very careful not to go anywhere alone. We even went to the bathroom in pairs. All of which is to say, the four of us all have alibis. The only ones without alibis
Are me and Makoto. That's why you're able to narrow down the list of suspects.
exactly so.
I have something I'd like to say regarding the whole alibi thing.
Are you thinking of raising an objection?
Well, before that, I just want to try and get a better idea of what time the murder took place. Doing that might reveal some kind of clue.
Whatever you want. Somebody go ahead and help him out.
Me and Byakuya can both confirm that the body wasn't in the garden at... Well, it was after nighttime for sure. I'd say it must have been around 10 o'clock. So the murder must have happened after 10 p.m.
Then I guess we can say the time frame for the murder was between then and when we found the body? Oh, but what time did we find the body?
The one who saw the body first was Toko, right? And she...
The body must have been discovered at 9 a.m., since that's when Toko went to get the pickaxe.
He's right. It had to be around then.
So we can be totally sure the murder happened sometime between 10 at night and 9 in the morning.
For me, I was already asleep before nighttime hit, so I don't have an alibi after 10 o'clock. But I'm sure I met up with everyone else before 9 this morning.
We ran into each other in the dining hall, right? Oh yeah! Right around 7:30.
Which means from 10 p.m. to 7:30 a.m., you don't have an alibi.
We've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, Makoto doesn't have an alibi for most of that time.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
That's more than enough time to commit murder, I should think. So Makoto, if you have any objections, now would be the time. We've established a time frame for the murder.
Wait,
It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night
and 9 o'clock. Yep.
And Makoto doesn't have an alibi for most of that time.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
That's more than enough time to commit murder, I should think. So Makoto, if you have any objections,
Now would be the time.
we've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, and Makoto doesn't have an alibi. most of that time.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
That's more than enough time to commit murder, I should think.
So, Makoto, if you have any objections, now would be the time.
We've established
A time frame
For the murder, it took place
somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, and Makoto doesn't have an alibi for most of that time.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
Oh,
Shoot!
okay, I know it's screen.
We've established a time. It took place
Somewhere between
10 o'clock at night.
No, it's wrong! Actually, the murder couldn't have happened anywhere near 10 o'clock. It had to have taken place way later.
And what makes you say that?
Because of the sprinklers in the garden. The sprinklers are set to go off right at 7:30 every morning, right? So if the body had been in the garden before 7:30, then it should have been completely soaked.
Oh, hold on! I remember this part perfectly. The body was wet. Dripping wet, in fact.
Sorry, Toko, but you're wrong.
I'm wrong? How? Are you saying only the mouth down south was wet?
No, I'm saying that the body was wet, but not because of the sprinklers.
What do you mean? By denying the sprinkler, are you trying to deny my entire existence?
Man, you're totally wacko.
If you really think it wasn't the sprinkler, you'd better tell us why! I admit nothing. I hate you. No, no, no! I don't know anything! Hold on! Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. I hate you. No, no, no! I don't know anything! Hold on! Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. I hate you. No, no, no! I don't know anything! Hold on! Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. I hate you. No, no, no! I don't know anything! Hold on! Are you trying to blame me?
Fuck. I always suck at sports.
I refuse to give up yet!
I admit nothing. I hate you. No, no, no! I don't know anything! Hold on! Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. I hate you. No, no, no! I don't know anything! Hold on! Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. I hate you. No, no, no! I don't know anything! Hold on! Are you trying to blame me? How can you say it wasn't the sprinkler?
This should prove it! Just remember what the body was like after the explosion, and you'll see why it wasn't the sprinklers. The top half of the body was wet, yes, but the bottom half was completely dry. If the sprinklers got the body wet, shouldn't the whole body have been wet?
So they only got the top wet? The bottom was completely dry? What a brutal I'm so sick of her.
Let's just move on. The reason only the top half was wet was because... while the body was still on fire, I doused it with water. But only the part on fire, the top half.
Oh, then I guess the sprinklers really didn't do it.
So if the sprinklers didn't get the body wet, then the murder must have taken place sometime after the sprinklers turned on at 7:30 in the morning.
Which means she must have been killed sometime between then and when the body was discovered at 9.
But Makoto's alibi was only missing from 10 o'clock last night to 7:30 this morning, right?
So there's no way Makoto could have done it. I guess you had an alibi after all. Good for you.
In which case, the only one left without an alibi is Kyoko.
I'd just like to say one thing. If you vote for me, and I die here, the mystery of this school will stay hidden forever. Which is why I can't let that happen.
So are you saying you're not the culprit?
Of course I'm not. I have no reason to kill anyone. This is a trap the mastermind has laid for us.
A trap?
We're this far into the game and now you decide to blame me? Stop wasting time! Stop wasting energy! You really think your little trick is gonna work?
Shut up, you!
You got it, boss! Shutting up now!
Anyway, Kyoko, you actually did have a reason to kill her.
Huh?
She thought Mukuro was the ultimate despair. In other words, the mastermind behind everything. So she killed her to try and put a stop to all this. Isn't that right, Kyoko? But you made one catastrophic mistake. Mukuro wasn't the mastermind at all. And as a result, we were forced into another trial. Something I'm sure you weren't at all expecting.
So, that was her motive?
If she had a motive and no alibi, well then, I think it's pretty clear Kyoko's gotta be the culprit.
I'm not the only one without an alibi. Makoto's explanation is still insufficient.
Huh?
The sprinklers didn't get the body wet, but that doesn't mean the murder happened when he said it did.
What are you...
Because you see, there is a way the body could have avoided getting wet.
Interesting. I'm listening.
All it would take is covering the body with a certain something to keep it from getting wet.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I think it's cut.
I got it!
Yeah.
You're talking about the tarp, aren't you?
You catch on quick. You're right. All you'd have to do is cover the body with the tarp, and that'd take care of the water. In fact, that's exactly what the killer did. The dirt pattern on the tarp can attest to that. Only one side of the tarp got dirty, because that's the side that got covered in water. The side that faced down over the body, meanwhile, kept perfectly clean. This proves that the killer used the tarp to keep the body from getting soaked.
But why would they go to all that effort just to keep the body from getting wet?
Most likely so they could cloud the issue of when the murder actually took place. In other words, to create an excuse exactly like the one Makoto just gave us.
Wait, something's not right.
And what might that be? By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was... only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting...
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless.
Because that side was protected from the water.
Since it was facing...
Of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside, it was totally...
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
By covering the body, the killer prevents...
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on is because the sprinkler...
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
By covering the body with the killer prevented it.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless.
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless.
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body,
Of course it didn't get dirty.
By covering the body, the killer prevented.
so the reason the tarp was only because the sprinkler got that
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the bottom, of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body with
The killer prevented.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body with the tarp,
The killer prevented.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side...
Shoot!
by covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only because the sprinkler...
But the underside of it was totally spotless.
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down, of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body with the killer prevented it from.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty!
Shoot!
By covering the body with the tarp,
The killer prevents.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty is because the sprinkler got that...
But the underside, it was totally...
It's because that side, since it was facing... Of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body, the killer prevented it.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side...
Okay, so those levels.
Shoot!
By covering the body, the killer prevents.
So the reason that... because the spring...
But the underside, it was totally...
It's because that side, since it was facing... Of course it didn't get dirty!
by covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that...
But the underside of it was totally...
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side
because the spring, but the underside of the tarp, it was totally spot.
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing, of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body,
The killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
I hate that. What the?
By covering the body with the tarp,
The killer prevents.
So the reason that because the spring, but the underside, it was totally. It's because that side was.
Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
By covering the body, the killer prevents.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty is because the sprinkler got.
But the underside, it was totally spotless, right? It's because that side was
protected from. Since it was facing. Of course it didn't get dirty.
By covering the body, the killer prevents.
So the reason the tarp was only is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water.
Shoot!
by covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting.
So the reason that is
because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
What the fuck?
By covering the body, the killer prevents.
So the reason the tarp was because the spring, but the underside of it was totally spotless.
It's because that side was protected from. Since it was facing down toward the. Of course it didn't get dirty.
I hit that.
By covering the body, the killer prevents.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side.
I died.
Shoot! I refuse to give up yet!
Can't be Can't be escaped.
By covering the body with the tarp,
Can't be spotted.
the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side
because the spring, but the underside, it was totally it's because that side, since it was faced, of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body, the killer prevented it.
So the reason the tarp was only because the sprinkler got.
But the underside of it was totally spotless. It's because that side was since it was facing down to.
Of course it didn't get dirty.
Let me try to swing this.
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side. Because the sprinkler got.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally. It's because that side was protected from the wall.
Since it was facing down toward the.
Of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body with the tarp,
the killer prevents.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side.
Shoot!
By covering the body, the killer prevents.
So the reason that is because the spring, but the underside of it was totally spotless. It's because
that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down to. Of course it didn't get dirty.
By covering the body, the killer
prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one
because the spring, but the underside of it was totally spotless.
It's because that side was protected from the water.
Not that one.
Shoot!
By covering the body, the killer prevents.
So the reason the tarp was only because the spring, but the underside, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body,
of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body with the tarp,
the killer prevents.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on is because the sprinkler, but the underside of it was totally spotless.
Because that side was protected from the water.
Okay, not that one.
Shoot!
By covering the body, the killer prevents...
So the reason that... Because the sprinkler got that... But the underside of it was totally... It's because that side was... Since it was facing... Of course it didn't get dirty!
I hit that.
By covering the body, the killer prevents...
So the reason that... Because the spring... But the underside, it was totally... It's because that side... Since it was facing down toward the body... Of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body, the killer prevents...
So the reason that... Because the spring... But the underside, it was totally... It's because that side was... Since it was facing down toward the body... Of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside, it was totally... It's because that side was... Since it was facing... Of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body with the killer prevents...
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on... Is because the sprinkler got that side wet. But the underside of it, it was totally... It's because that side was... Since it was facing... Of course it didn't get dirty!
Okay, not bad.
Shoot!
By covering the body, the killer prevents...
So the reason the tarp... Because the sprinkler got that... But the underside of the tarp, it was totally... It's because that side, since it was facing... Of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body with the tarp,
The killer prevents...
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side...
Nope.
Shoot! I refuse to give up yet!
by covering the body with the tarp,
the killer prevents...
So the reason the tarp was only... because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of it was totally spotless.
It's because that side was protected from the water.
Since it was facing... Of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body, the killer prevents...
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side...
Oh, I wanted to grab it.
Shoot!
By covering the body, the killer prevents...
So the reason the...
tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside, it was totally...
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
Okay, it's not that one. Grab the second.
Shoot!
by covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevents...
So the reason that... was the sprinkler, but the underside, it was totally... It's because
that side was protected from the water.
Oh no, I didn't want to do that.
Shoot!
By covering the body,
The killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason that... It's because the spring... But the underside, it was totally... It's because that
side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
by covering the body, the killer prevents...
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side...
Okay, it's not that one.
Shoot!
By covering the body with
the killer prevents...
So the reason that... It's because the spring... But the underside of it was totally... It's because
that side was protected from the water.
No! Okay, since it was facing down toward... Of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body, the killer prevents...
So the reason the tarp was the sprinkler,
But the underside of it was totally...
it's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the... Of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler...
But the underside of it was totally...
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body, the killer prevents...
So the reason that... It's because the sprinkler... But the underside of it was totally... It's
because that side was protected.
since it was facing...
Of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body, the killer prevents...
So the reason that... It's because the sprinkler... But the underside of it was totally...
It's because that side, since it was facing down toward the... Of course it didn't get dirty!
Okay, I just listened to that side.
Shoot! I refuse to give up yet!
By covering the body with the killer prevents...
So the reason the tarp... Because the sprinkler...
But the underside, it was totally...
It's because that side, since it was facing... Of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevents...
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on... Because the sprinkler...
But the underside of it was totally...
It's because that side was protected. Since it was facing down... Of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body, the killer prevents...
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side...
Okay, I gotta get the first one.
Shoot!
Try the first one.
By covering the body, the killer prevents...
So the reason the tarp was only... Because the sprinkler got that side wet!
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally...
It's because that side was protected from the... Since it was facing down toward the body... Of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevents...
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side... is because the sprinkler got that side wet!
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason that... It's because the sprinkler, but the underside of it was totally...
It's because that side was protected from the water.
Okay, not that one.
Shoot!
By covering the body, the killer prevents...
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side...
Because the sprinkler, but the underside, it was totally...
It's because that side was... Since it was facing... Of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body, the killer prevents...
So the reason the tarp...
Because the sprinkler got that side
Wet!
But the underside, it was totally spotless.
It's because that side was protected. Since it was facing down toward the body... Of course it didn't get dirty!
What?
Shoot!
What? Okay. So don't have
By covering the body with the tarp,
to. No, it's not.
the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
Does that correct you everything?
By covering the body with the tarp, the The killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally... It's because
That side was protected from since it was facing down. Of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the killer prevented...
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side...
Okay, no, I don't.
Shoot!
By covering the killer prevented it from...
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side...
Shoot!
Fuck, is that?
I refuse to give up yet!
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless. It's because
That side was protected from the water since it was facing down toward the body. Of course it didn't...
Wait. Where's the body facing down? right now? It's hard to look though. Let me go to the blood. Body before the cleanse. And then let's see the second one. Last one. So you're gonna shoot at the last one. Okay. Body before the explosion. Was
Dirty!
By covering the body with the tarp,
The killer prevented.
So the reason the top's because the spring, but the underside, it was totally. It's because that side was since it was facing.
Of course it didn't get dirty!
by covering the body with the tarp,
The killer prevented.
So the reason the tarp was only because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally. It's because
That side was protected from the wind since it was facing down toward the body. Of course it didn't get dirty!
No, it's wrong. Actually, one side being clean is pretty strange if you think about it. Because the blood wasn't dry before the body got blown up, right? Byakuya said it himself. Not to touch it, or you might get some on you. If you put a tarp on a body in that state,
Well, maybe the used it.
If they had, they would have washed both sides. Just
Oh! Yeah, true.
more than that, what if the very blood we saw on the body was meant? What if, after the killer used the tarp to avoid the
That's what I got it
sprinklers,
with that one. Yes, I did.
they then covered the body in blood that didn't belong to the victim?
You mean someone else's blood? Where would they get some?
I know! They could have grabbed some of the blood packs from the nurse's office. That's what Hifumi did, right? When he pretended to be dead?
No, that's not what happened this time. The killer got the blood from right there in the garden.
I got it!
Oh, what's it?
Could it have been chicken blood?
What? Chicken blood?
When I checked the chicken coop before the murder, there were 5 chickens. But after the murder, there were only 4.
So, you're saying someone killed a chicken and then covered the body with its blood? Man, that's messed up.
Killing a living thing just to do something like that is awful. They should have at least eaten it.
I wonder if the killer had to get the blood from the scene so they wouldn't be spotted walking around. Anyway, there's no denying that a chicken went missing, which provides a basis for my theory.
Perhaps, but even so, there's one thing that still doesn't make sense. You said the culprit used the tarp to avoid the water and then covered the body in blood, right? But if that's the case, then the blood should have soaked into the ground around the body. But that's not what we saw. Only the victim's clothing had blood on it. The ground was completely clean.
I have to agree, that certainly is strange. Maybe they didn't apply the blood at the scene. Maybe they covered the coat in blood beforehand.
They covered it beforehand?
When you discovered the body, was it wearing the coat like you normally would?
I think so. Wait, no. The head was through the neck hole, but the arms weren't in the sleeves.
Then that settles it.
Sorry, I'm having a tough time keeping it. What settles what?
Here's what happened. The murder took place before the sprinklers went off, but the body didn't get wet because the killer covered it with the tarp. Then, later, at the same time the killer was gathering up the tarp, they pulled the coat over the body, the coat they'd already covered in blood. This series of cover-ups was meant to disguise the actual time the murder occurred. They wanted us to think the murder happened sometime after the sprinklers had gone off, at 7:30.
If that's actually what took place, it certainly becomes possible that the murder happened earlier.
But to pull all that off, wouldn't they have had to go back to the garden after the sprinklers turned off?
That actually wouldn't have been all that difficult.
Huh?
They already had the coat ready, so they just had to grab the tarp and pull the coat over the body. They'd be done in no time.
Maybe, but still.
Hina, after you met up with Makoto in the dining hall, did you two stay together from that point on?
Oh no, I headed off to the gym, and Makoto didn't show up till later.
Then he had plenty of time to spare, wouldn't you say?
That's not...
Don't bother saying it's not possible.
I must admit, Kyoko's reasoning is sound. Makoto's alibi is inadequate. Well then, it looks like we're back to square one. Makoto's alibi is no good, so once again, our suspects are him and Kyoko.
For serious, man? Which one of them did it? Hey, why don't we let luck decide? Let's flip a coin. 50-50 odds.
Oh!
See? Pretty good idea, right?
No, not that. I just remembered something super serious.
Well, don't just stand there. Out with it.
You know that knife we found all black and burnt?
The one we found stuck in the body before it exploded, right? According to the Monokuma file, the knife went all the way through, from front to back. So, what about it?
I'm pretty sure I'd seen that knife somewhere before. That's what I thought when I first saw it. I just remembered.
We gave to Makoto?
You don't seem surprised. You must have noticed earlier.
Yeah.
Then why did you hide that fact?
It's not that I hid it. It's just...
Suspicious! Very suspicious indeed. The knife we found stuck in the body came from Makoto. Now I'm totally convinced he did it! 12,000% convinced!
The knife we found lodged in the dead body.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
It really is, isn't it? I was afraid of that.
If he did have that knife before, then that seals it! Makoto did it!
Just because I had the knife once, that automatically makes me the killer?
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her, right? So there's no question. You took that knife of yours and killed her with it.
What a horrible man you are, Makoto.
The knife we found lodged in the dead body.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
It really is, isn't it? I was afraid of that.
If he did have that knife before, then that seals it. Makoto did it!
Just because I had the knife once, that automatically...
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her, right? So there's no question. You took that knife of yours...
What a horrible man you are, Makoto.
The knife we found lodged in the dead body.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
It really is, isn't it? I was afraid of it.
If he did have that knife before, then that seals it.
Just because I had the knife, that automatically...
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her, so there's no question. You took that knife of yours and killed her with it.
What a horrible man you are, Makoto.
The knife we found lodged in the dead body.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
It really is, isn't it? I was afraid of that.
If he did have that, that seals it. Just because I had the knife, that automatic... Well, getting... So there's no... You took that knife and...
What a horrible man you are, Makoto.
The knife we found lodged...
It's the same one we gave...
It really is, isn't it? I was afraid...
If he did have that, that seals it. Just because I had them, that automatically... Well,
getting stabbed is what killed her, so there's no question.
You took that knife...
What a horrible man you are, Makoto.
The knife we found lodged in the...
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
It really is, isn't it?
If he did have that knife, that seals it.
Just because I had the knife, that automatically made... Well,
getting stabbed is what killed her, so there's no question. You took that knife of yours and killed her.
What a horrible man you are, Makoto.
The knife we found lodged in the dead body.
It's the same... one we gave to Makoto.
It really is, isn't it? I was afraid of that.
If he did have that knife before, then that seals it! Makoto did it!
Just because I had the knife, that automatic?
Well, getting stabbed is, so there's no question. You took that knife of yours.
What a horrible man you are, Makoto. The knife we found lodged.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
It really is, isn't it? I was afraid of that.
If he did have that knife before, that seals it.
Just because I had that automatically make...
Well, getting stabbed is, so there's no... You took that knife of yours and...
What a horrible man you are, Makoto.
Oh, this guy's being stabbed. Acnogoji-kinggoj.
The knife we found lodged in the dead body. It's the same one. It really is, isn't it?
If he did have that knife, that seals it. Just because I had that automatically... Well,
Getting stabbed is what killed her.
no, that's wrong. Wait, hold on. The stab wound isn't what killed Mukuro.
Oh fuck, I skipped that.
In other words, the victim never wore that blood-stained coat until after they were dead.
Okay, fine. So what?
So, when we discovered the body, the knife had been thrust through the coat along with the body. Meaning, if she wasn't stabbed until the coat was put on, and she was already dead at that point, obviously the stab wound isn't what killed her.
Maybe you stabbed her twice. Once to kill her and once to cover it up.
I got it! The Monokuma file clearly states that there was only one stab wound.
And the knife
Was just another piece of camouflage set up by the true killer. They probably stabbed her to draw attention away from what actually killed her. Exploding the body afterward was probably meant to do the same thing. The explosion severely damaged the body, making it impossible to know what really killed her. It was all the killer's attempt to destroy all evidence of their crime.
So they wanted us to notice the stab wound and then detonated the body afterward. They meant for us to latch onto the knife as the cause of death, then destroy any evidence proving otherwise.
Oh, hey, I have a question. It kind of goes back to the beginning, but what's the deal with that explosion anyway? Why'd the body just blow up all of a sudden like that?
If you bothered to put that lump of gray matter between your ears to use, you'd know the answer.
Well, if you're so smart, just tell me.
I'll tell you. I bet some unknown quantum particle cause an atomic level spontaneous combustion!
I might be dumb, but even I'm not dumb enough to believe that.
Go ahead, Makoto. Tell her or we won't make any headway on this.
After the explosion, we found a tiny fragment of something on the ground near the body, right? That fragment reveals the cause of the explosion.
Huh? You know, I feel like I've seen something like it somewhere before.
That's only natural, because of course, we saw the same thing when we dismantled Monokuma. It's part of a bomb.
Oh! Then the explosion was because of the Monokuma bomb.
Anyway, the culprit's motive is becoming more and more obvious by the minute. They wanted the knife wound to look like the fatal injury so that we'd suspect Makoto. And the only one who would benefit from that is the only other possible suspect. You, Kyoko.
Hold on a second, Byakuya.
What's the problem?
Well, I just feel like we need to think this through.
That's true. It's definitely bugging me. What really killed her?
Fine. I have no problem with that. Let us continue the debate. It won't change the facts of the case regardless. Then, shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet to be determined, correct?
The explosion didn't kill her for sure. I guess.
Well, yeah. She was already totally dead when that happened.
And it wasn't because of the knife, right? And then there's only one other thing.
Oh, yeah. According to the Monokuma file, that's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed she was hit on the back of her head.
And more than that, the victim had suffered countless wounds across her inside. Then shall we continue? The victim's fatal...
The explosion didn't kill...
Well, yeah.
And it wasn't... Then there's a...
Oh, yeah. That's gotta be it.
There was evidence that showed she was hit on the back of her head.
And more than that,
the victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire body. Then shall we continue that the victim's
fatal injury has yet to be...
The explosion didn't kill her for sure.
Well, yeah.
And it wasn't...
Oh, yeah. That's gotta be it.
There was evidence that showed she was hit on the
back of her head. And more than that, the victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire... Then shall we continue that the victim's
fatal injury
has yet to be determined.
No, that's wrong. Mukuro died because of the blow to the back of the head she suffered.
What about the wounds all over the rest of her body? They didn't have anything to do with it?
The Monokuma file makes it clear that those weren't fresh wounds.
Oh yeah, good point. If they were old, I guess they don't really matter.
Okay, then we're safe in assuming the blow to the back of her head is what killed her.
But then, what was the murder weapon? The Monokuma file says she was hit with a blunt object, about as thick as a metal pipe.
Oh! I bet it was the pickaxe!
How is that even possible? If you hit someone with that, it'd cave their skull in completely.
Well, maybe they held it the other way and hit her with the handle.
No way! The balance would be all off. You wouldn't be able to swing it with any kind of power. I wouldn't mind testing it on you if you want.
No thanks. I bet you just hit me with the metal end and call it an accident.
I'd love to scoop out that nasty brain of yours, throw it on the ground and spit on it.
I feel the same way! Looks like we're on the same page this time.
Seriously?
We want to figure out what killed her, right? It just so happens we already know.
We already know? I knew we could count on you, Master!
So what was it?
Go ahead and tell them, Makoto. Surely you've deduced the real murder weapon?
Oh, fuck. Oh, yeah, that's all.
I got it! Mukuro was hit in the back of the head with something. And that's what killed her. And that something was the titanium arrow we found in the locker in the dojo.
An arrow? That's what the culprit attacked Mukuro with?
Indeed. There's no doubt about it.
Are you sure? That sounds kinda weird. Hey! How dare you backtalk, Master! You have no right! I'm not backtalking anything. I'm just saying what I think.
The titanium arrow. It was in the dojo locker, right? I have no doubt that was the murder weapon.
You sure?
You don't sound convinced. What's the problem?
Well, 'cause in the Monokuma file, it said the weapon must have been about as thick as a metal pipe, right? It seems like an arrow would just be too thin.
Talking back to Master! You have no right!
The titanium, it was in the dojo. I have no doubt.
Are you sure?
You don't sound...
Well, it said the weapon must have been about... It seems like an arrow would just be too thin.
Talking back to Master! You have no right!
The titanium, it was in the dojo. I have no doubt.
Are you sure?
You don't sound...
Well, it said the weapon must have... It seems like an arrow would just be too thin.
Talking back to Master! You have no right!
The titanium arrow, it was in the dojo. I have no doubt.
Are you sure?
You don't sound...
Well, it said the weapon must have been about as thick as... It seems like an arrow would just be too thin.
No, he's wrong. You're right. Just the one arrow would have been too weak. That's why the killer used another weapon.
Another weapon?
Inside the dojo locker, we also found a balled-up wad of duct tape. The killer probably uses duct tape to bind multiple arrows together. Bundling them together using the duct tape would easily create a single weapon as thick as a pipe. And that's exactly what the killer did.
It's similar to Aesop's fable about the bundle of sticks. One stick is weak. We put them together, and they become strong. It's meant to teach cooperation.
Damn, that's harsh.
How is it harsh? Are you even listening?
Anyway, that explains the murder weapon. As for who the culprit is that stashed the weapon in the dojo locker, it was you, Kyoko.
I've never been to the dojo.
Oh no, you absolutely have.
How can you say that with such confidence?
Because we have proof, of course. What's the... Surely you don't intend to protect a murderer. You know what will happen if you do, don't you? If you cover for the culprit, there's only one thing that can lead to. The death of us all, remember?
Of course I remember.
Then show us. Show everyone the evidence that proves Kyoko went to the dojo.
The one thing that proves Kyoko was in the dojo is right here. The key to the dojo locker.
And how does that prove anything?
Because I found it in your room.
It was in my room?
Don't bother trying to play dumb. That key is just the final piece of the puzzle. Your non-existent alibi, your clear motive, your attempts to frame Makoto for the crime. This all proves that you are the true culprit. You can't explain this away, so just give up.
Hold on a second.
Not this again. You really are dead set on defending her, aren't you?
No, it's not that I want to defend her. It's just, there's one more thing I need to ask her. Kyoko, I want you to tell me something. Last night, you were in my room, weren't you? Why? What were you doing there? That's what I need to know.
I was just protecting you.
What?
That's enough. The time for idle chatter is over. A verdict is close at hand.
Wait. I'm warning you. Don't make this mistake. I'm not the killer.
I knew you were stubborn, but this is just getting ridiculous.
Really? But you should know better than anyone I didn't do it. Can you tell me I'm wrong?
I should know. Those words you just spoke, what do you mean?
Exactly what I said. I'm not the killer. You should understand that more than anyone here.
Byakuya, what are you hiding?
Master would never hide something from me!
There's proof that you aren't the culprit. Is that what you're saying?
You stated a theory earlier. You said I hid the evidence of my crime in the dojo locker, and then left the locker key in my own room, correct? But could I really have done that?
Those words you just spoke, what do you mean?
Exactly what I said. I'm not the killer. You should understand.
Byakuya!
Master would never...
There's proof that you aren't the culprit.
No, it's wrong! If I'm right, Kyoko wouldn't have been able to get into her room.
Why not?
Because she had given her room key to Byakuya.
I see. So that's what you meant. And if I had the key to your room...
Then obviously I had no way of getting in. Without my room key, I couldn't have possibly put the locker key in there myself. Am I wrong?
It would appear not.
Then you're finally starting to understand.
want to see what actually happens if you get them all wrong. Because I think I want to see what happens. I know you don't get like that. Hopefully you don't got to do the class trial all over again.
There was a lie hidden within Kyoko's statement.
A lie?
Isn't that right, Kyoko?
You said it. The burden of proof is on you. So let's hear it. Where's this lie, then? I didn't have the key to my room.
Because I'd given it, there's no doubt about it.
You are correct.
So I couldn't possibly have gotten into my room.
And how else could the key have gotten?
Someone other than me must have put it there. That's the only explanation.
I didn't have the key because I'd given it to Byakuya. There's no doubt about that, right?
You are correct.
So I couldn't possibly have gotten in.
And when we searched, how else could the key have gotten there?
Someone other than me must have put it there. That's the only explanation.
Okay.
I didn't have the key to my room because I'd given it to Byakuya. There's no doubt about it.
You are correct.
So I couldn't
Possibly have gotten into my room. And how else could the key?
Someone other than me must have put it there. That's the only explanation. I didn't have because I'd given it. There's no doubt about it.
You are correct.
So I couldn't possibly have gotten into my room.
And when we searched Kyoko, how else could the key?
Someone other than me must have put it there. That's the... I didn't have because I'd given it. There's no doubt about it.
You are correct.
So I couldn't possibly have gotten into my room.
No, that's wrong.
And then the past trial. Well,
No. Kyoko could have gotten into her room. You said so yourself, didn't you, Kyoko?
Monokuma's secret tool?
Kyoko stole it from the headmaster's room. It lets you get into any room in the school, which means she could have used it to get into her own room.
Then I guess that's it.
You're giving up just like that? You admit to killing...
No, I'm simply recognizing that I lost.
What are you talking about?
Like I said, this was a trap. And so I lost. That's all this means.
Then, are you saying you really didn't... Kyoko, you really aren't the killer?
Okay, time's up!
Huh?
I'm sorry to say, but your time is up. All done, all finished. The class trial is all over.
But that's ridiculous! Since when is there any...
It's because you were late, so the trial started late and time ran out. So then, it's time for voting time, okay? Everyone, please vote using the lever in front of you. But I guess we already know who the blackened is, don't we?
Okay, we're gonna see if it might be a little bit longer. I hope I don't end the game after this. Good job, you got it right. Brilliant, right? You got it right. Seems really is good, but something wrong with the whole fight. Kyoko.
Now then, I've prepared a very special punishment. Let's give it everything we've got. It's punishment time!
Wow. Last execution. Not Kyoko. She's best girl. At least Kyoko gonna die. Can't watch. I don't want to see Kyoko die. Okay, let's see if it ends. Does the game end after this? Oh. Oh. Okay. So, Toka dies. Toka's on the pitch or something
No! This isn't right!
Oh!
Makoto, why are you staring off into space? Don't you have a rebuttal for Kyoko's claim?
Okay, so I'm doing this. time, I'm gonna choose Edom. Guidance something beginning.
Obviously he's gonna die here, but
Well, does no one have a rebuttal? Have you decided to accept her assertion as fact? I see. So you still refuse to accept it. I suppose we have to admit that Kyoko didn't put the locker key in her room, that it was someone else.
But who else could it have been?
I mean, Byakuya had a room key, right?
You! What are you trying to imply?
But of course I have an alibi. From nighttime on, I was with you guys the entire time. I couldn't possibly have killed anyone, or put the key in Kyoko's room.
Well, someone had to put the key in there.
There's only one other possibility I can think of. Someone could have had the key on them, then once they arrived at the scene, pretended to find it there.
What? It had to be Makoto, right?
I don't see any other option.
Wait a second. You've got it all wrong. Let's think about it one more time. There's gotta be a hidden side to this case.
Huh? A hidden side?
First of all, there's something off about this entire trial. You all see it, don't you? Mukuro, who we didn't even know existed, suddenly shows up dead. And then we're thrown into a trial. And Kyoko even said, it's a trap the mastermind set for us. So that's why this has to be...
Okay, time's up!
Huh?
Time's up! Class trial's all over! Everyone can stop talking now!
What? Time's up?
What do you mean time's up? There's no time's up. Since when have we...
It's because you were late, so we had to push back the start time. So then, it's time for voting time, okay? Everyone, please vote using the lever in front of you!
Voting time?
Hey! Let's go! Hey! Let's go! Let's go!
Now, who will be chosen as the Blackened? Will you make the right choice or the dreadfully wrong one?
Hey, hold on!
What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be?
How's that a better ending? What? You think I'm the killer? Sorry, man.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. It's all your fault. I mean, you're wrong. Yeah, I'm wrong. I didn't do it.
Yes, indeed.
Good job. Good job, everyone. Good job. Good job?
Yep.
Yep. They got it right. No, that's not true. This whole trial doesn't make any sense.
Hey!
It makes perfect sense.
Shing!
Same as it always. It's just all the other class trials. Gonna end it the same way.
Thrills, chills, kills!
Beating positive doing punishment. Wait, why do I... Kyoko.
I don't expect you to forgive me. I know this is all my fault.
Kyoko?
Let's give it everything we've got! It's punishment time! I just came in time for the execution. No, I already did the other execution. Just in time. Yeah.
No, he should have probably died from a height that far. I don't think he would survive that. He probably would have died. Hey, what's that? Yeah.
This is...
This is some stupid virus from that stupid guy. So, my favorite. He invaded my neck. Damn it all! Take me to hell! I don't believe this!
It would seem...
What the heck?
What was that?
In other words...
What I'm saying is, you should have fun of that scene. You should have why are you talking? I barely know it. I was a pin. Stupid virus is gone. I got it, and so is Makoto. Maybe I didn't get smashed in flat. Never gonna see him again. To waste away in a garbage pit. No way. That's an even better special punishment. But it's still not enough. I'm still not satisfied. I'm gonna bring despair to the rest of you. Bring despair to the entire world! Okay, I'm not gonna say that. Is he gone? Hey, Kyoko. Hey, Kyoko. What is it? Just what the hell is this?
Calm down.
It's okay. We're not the ones being trapped. Huh?
In other words...
No, it's the mastermind.
What did you say?
What are you talking about?
So...
You understand soon enough. Very soon indeed. Wait. Are we at the beginning of the game? Yeah. We're at the beginning of the game. The fuck? We're at the beginning of the game. Yeah, they just basically use the same stuff, but I mean, yeah, woke up and my head was resting on top of a hard wooden desk. My body felt heavy. It would be weird for me to zone off in the middle of some point class or whatever, but what was it doing this week here just now? Wasn't in any class I've never been in. What the heck is going on? Oh, okay. 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 Going to garbage bin. The garbage. No, this isn't a dream. This must be some kind of underground college, a heck of a situation to find myself in. That was just the beginning of the world. It was going to be sad. To be sad. That happened. Not after my good friend saved me. Remember what happened. What had happened. Alter ego saved me. And I used the last bit of his strength to do it. So I can't give it up for myself and for my friend. And with that, my pursuit of survival began. First up was to start looking for a way out of there. Getting out of this isn't gonna be easy. Still not enough. It's still not enough to give up. Because I'm still alive. As long as I'm alive, I'll never give up. They're making that power declaration and staying inside to do this. Go to sleep. My sleep was deep and interrupted. That was my only way to preserve what little strength I had left after not being able to eat or drink. I can't be sure, but I think at last a full day had to have passed, and all I did was sleep and sleep. It was like I was waiting for some kind of sign to come falling out of the sky. However, what fell from the sky wasn't something not exactly. feels the same sensation during your life. Very rapid, aggressive, something called
Just a second.
Kyoko! Best girl! Well, he's in gaming, but best girl right here. Best girl in Danganronpa. I'm sure she even emerged from the pile of garbage. I knew who it was.
It smells awful.
Kyoko!
Indeed.
You look like you're doing better than I expected. What are you doing here?
So...
Isn't it obvious? I'm here to help you. I'm glad to hear that, Kyoko. You got a bit of garbage in you. She gave her head a quick, sharp shake to get rid of the trash. Then, face me again.
Hey.
First, I have something for you. I go ahead and eat it. We can talk once. Go ahead and eat it. We can talk once you're finished. Huh? Thank you! I snatched the bread and water that she was holding. For seconds, it was in her mouth and making it really towards my stomach. Oh fuck, I can pick it up. Let me turn off. Within seconds, it was in my mouth and makes way towards my stomach. That really hit the spot. Now I've got all the energy I need to keep going. So you still haven't given up, then? Of course not. After all, the fact that I can keep going forward is about all I'm good at. Well, that's not such a bad thing to be good at. But Kyoko, why did you come to rescue me?
So...
To pay a debt. Oh no, to atone. Alone? Not alone, atone.
You...
During the trial, even though you knew I was lying, you didn't say anything. During the trial, even though you knew I was lying, you didn't say anything. So you knew that I knew?
Indeed.
But even though I knew, I did nothing to help you. I abandoned you. Don't say that. You didn't abandon me. No. That's exactly what I did. I abandoned you in order to save you. You were trying to save me, and I couldn't bring myself to do the same for you.
However...
Listen. Not sure I'm trying to make excuses, but there's a reason that we have to survive, no matter the cost. Why did you have to survive?
It's true.
I'll tell you everything. The reason I have to survive.
In other words,
it's so that I can do what I came to do. do what I came to this school to do. What? I made up my mind to come to Whole Speak Humanity for one very important reason. So you have some reason coming to Whole Speak?
Indeed.
That's right. At least I did once. Until recently, I've forgotten what it was. You forgot? But that's... I have no memory of my purpose. No memory? That's impossible. You have amnesia? Then it really is you've lost your memory.
Makoto.
Do you remember Makoto? Do you remember the first thing that happened to each of us as soon as we arrived at this school? The first thing? You talk about when we fainted, right? I fainted and when I woke up, I was shot here.
That's right.
I fainted too, and when I woke up, and it was a strange feeling of separation between myself, disconnected.
It would seem...
Thinking back on it now, at that point, my memory was gone. At that time, I forgot. I couldn't remember why I come to this school, and I couldn't remember who my ultimate version was. But what would make you forget all that?
Hey.
Strange, isn't it? It's hard to imagine it happened by chance. It seems much too convenient. Are you saying you think you lost your memory because...
Indeed.
I don't think it's possible. I think I'm positive it was the work of an instant based on it. But why would they want to do that? There's only one reason they came up with. Because of my purpose and my goals. Somehow they interfere with the mastermind's plans. So the mastermind just stole them from you.
However,
it also means somehow my memories are connected to the university of the school and the mastermind. Which is why I have to get them back. That's why I think that's my myself. But if what you say is true, what didn't you ask the rest of us help with?
Why is that?
If I did that, all 1 plus 1. And that's when it's better. Plus, there's always a chance that the mastermind is actually on.
Correct.
Well, don't make it too big a deal. It's just a possibility. But since it's a possibility, you can't ignore it. You can't ignore it, right? Mastermind is one of us. If she believed that, then of course she couldn't trust anyone around her. In which case, it only makes sense that she would look into his missing memory for herself.
However,
that being said, there was a limit to what I could do by myself, which is why I asked you. Why me? Because among everyone else, you least likely to be missing. That was just intuition, but I see. Your intuition was right there. There's no way normal kid like me could have been the mastermind.
I understand. I should understand everything. My goal isn't to get out of here. It's to stay here.
Yeah. It's just like a dream I had before. What did that just happen? Why did that just happen?
Listen.
Are you okay? Yeah, it's nothing. It is nothing, right?
Hey.
Even now, I still trust you. It's just, I'm not used to it.
Correct.
I know I never asked you for help lately, so I understand it. Honestly, I was convinced. I think that's just her personality. You said you had a reason to do all that investigating on your own. So how'd that turn out? Were you able to remember anything?
So...
I think there's still a lot I don't remember. But at the very least, was... Oh shit, we actually do get to figure out what it... Well, I already know what it is, but... Well, it's pretty obvious what it is in the game. But, face it, we all know what it is. The people who play this game pretty much know what it is. We don't need this to figure it out. You mentioned your ability? The ability, what everyone should have known me for. I'm the ultimate detective.
Correct.
And the reason I came to Folks Peak, there was someone I had to find here in school. You had to find someone? Who?
So...
Wow. It was the headmaster. The headmaster? Why did you want to find a headmaster? Because he's my father. What?
In other words...
I was separated from him as a child. It turns out he became the headmaster of Hulk's Peak. Kyoko's dad? Is Hulk's Peak again? It's Hulk's Peak's headmaster? Then that's great. When Alter Ego told us how he thought the headmaster wasn't there, I'll find a way.
Huh?
Huh? No matter what it takes, I will find the headmaster.
No matter what?
No matter the cost.
So,
Kyoko, what's going on? The memory hadn't come back at that point, but when he said that, I felt strange. Makes perfect sense now. Of course, since my whole purpose for coming here was to find him. What makes sense?
However...
But listen, Makoto. I want to make this perfectly clear, so there's no misunderstanding. I said the headmaster wasn't the mastermind, but I didn't say that I want to protect them. Only said what I felt based on what I seen when I snuck into the headmaster's room. Then what did you see in there?
So...
The room had been ransacked. The shelves were a mess. The desk drawers, the only conclusion is that someone who didn't know where anything had been in there. You mean the mastermind, right?
It's true.
That was my intention, yes. And to confirm my suspicions, I decided to investigate the second floor of the dorms using the key. But why there? Because I also found this in the husband. This is some kind of map.
Indeed.
It's the layout of the entire whole speaker cabinet. I found it in the headmaster's room, along with Miguel's profile at that key. And that key. The map showed that the second floor was home to a number of rooms meant for security use. Some of the staff must have been at stay overnight from time to time. I figured the headmaster would have had some kind of everything. I assumed that if that were true, that room would likely hold more clues. So I went to check.
Correct.
And that's when I finally remembered. I remembered that my purpose was to find the owner of that. So you went there to see if the headmaster really did have a private room there?
However,
But once I got there, I noticed that the second floor of the dorms didn't have any cameras in the house. So what was it like, that part of the school? It's hard to describe. All I can say is, the moment I saw it, I realized what's ever going on in this school is the most horrific than we ever imagined. What do you mean?
so...
I can't explain it. You need to see it for yourself. I'm sure you get it. You get your chance soon. Sounds like it must be important. In real lemons.
However,
Of course. What's going on? It has something to do with his facade.
however,
Just to be perfectly fair, I didn't kill her. I know it wasn't you either. I know you're right, but that just means everyone but you and me had an alibi. So then, who did kill her?
anyway,
What I can say for sure is that the mastermind isn't the To begin with, the point of the class trial was to get me killed. To get you killed?
indeed.
I stole that key and disappeared. In investigation, they want to draw me out and eliminate me.
Correct.
That was the point of the class trial. It was the mastermind knew they couldn't interfere with it. You mean because of school reservations?
That's right.
Exactly. Reservations, you are free to explore Football Academy at
In other words,
Mastermind is adamant about following the rules. And with that, and with the rule in place, they couldn't step in. Since they couldn't kill me themselves, they tried mastermind themselves is somehow bound by the school resolutions.
Hey.
There's one other thing I'd like to point out about this movie. What's that? The point where Mukuro may not have become the victim. It could have been you. I could have become the victim.
Indeed.
You know what I'm talking about? You mean during the night?
I
can feel them in the footsteps. What?
Anyway.
Which is exactly what happened with me. I was in the dorms and I had its own sense of fear. I looked down and said, and I saw a white shadow across the board. As I followed it, I saw a shadow going through the room.
Correct.
I went into the room and I saw this.
However,
that wasn't the end. I stopped him, but to the mass assaulted was a
correct.
And murder was disguised in the dojo key. It was all the work of the mastermind, and he was sent to use the class shadow to eliminate me. So all this would mean whoever killed Mukuro is also the mastermind, right?
Indeed.
I don't have conclusive evidence, but that's what I think. I've been shooting for like 6 hours. No joke, I've been shooting for almost like 6 hours. More than 6 hours, Jesus. That's really bad if true. It means that the mastermind can't kill whoever they want if they feel it. Wait, that doesn't create another contradiction. Mastermind wanted to use Pastor to try to kill you because they can't interfere, right?
Correct.
Right. That is a contradiction. And it's not just the thing. You need the Pastor to kill you, but see ways to kill you in the game. If they did this, it's a contradiction. So, thank you! Yeah, I made it to 200 subs. This is what I'm doing for the 200. Well, I'm actually doing a 4-part series for the 200 sub special. I'll be playing. I was gonna play Genshin Impact, but the game's garbage, and I got bored of it. I got so frustrated because I was like, okay, this game's not good. This game is garbage. It's not worth recording. And then I chose this game because it was the first game that I played that I live streamed for. That's what started me gaming on my channel. It's the first gameplay series video, and so that's why I started it. That's why I picked this one. So we can go back to it all together. So it makes sense to do it for the 200. So. And I was going to stream Godzilla Save the Earth Melee, but I have no way of streaming it. Because for one, I don't got a PC. It's only available on PC. And two, even if I did have a PC, I still have no way of streaming it. So yeah. So I'm probably going to save that for like the finale, the sub special, 20 sub special, and then yeah, then see like big soon. I think the third part is probably going to be the actual requested game. Hopefully, someone requests a better game than Genshin Impact. Like anybody can request a game. As long as it's available on the PS4, I'll play it. It's available on the PS4, I'll play it. Any game. It's new or old. I got, so I don't know, I'll play it. It might be a while, but I'll play it.
In other words,
that the mastermind is
Makoto.
Just a little more. A little more. I should be able to figure out the mastermind's identity. The identity. There's no doubt there is a. And that's it.
Indeed.
I think
That's right.
What happened here? The biggest was all for the tragic events. Tragic. There was
It would seem. Indeed.
They're the root of all evil that force us to go through this. That is the ultimate despair. And that is our real enemy. Chapter 5. 100 missile trainer. Junkie. To be continued. Well, that ends this stream. I got a rocket. Cool. Yeah, we can save it. Let's save it here. Okay, I'm not gonna play this part. Okay. I'll save this for the next. Okay, maybe actually okay. Chapter 6. Yeah, chapter 6. I'm gonna end it here. Oh wait, I'll probably do this in the next. Oh yeah, it's probably too much for 5 plus series. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna finish chapter 6 in 3 separate parts, I guess. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna finish it. I'm just gonna finish chapter 6 right here. I'm just gonna finish it right now. Yeah, just finish it. Just finish chapter 6. I can
Anyway...
Danganronpa. Okay. I'm gonna end it here. I'll continue it in the next episode. I'll probably do that sometime. I'll do it tonight. I'll do that. I'll finish chapter 6 because I don't think it's done. I can probably stream it in one stream. Yeah, I can probably stream it in one stream. Let's see what I can do. Life is, 37 minutes. Let's make sure. No, chapter 6. That's final question is about 5 hours, yeah. Yeah, it's like 5 hours. It's like 6 hours long. So yeah, I might be able to finish it in the next stream. I'm just gonna stream it all one stream. I won't do it now because that'll probably be like what, a 9-hour stream. Yeah. So finish it. Well, yeah, I'll finish it in the next stream. So I'm gonna sign off. Stay there, Danganronpa fans. I'll see you for part 2. See for the 200th special, part 3, the Danganronpa, chapter 6, and I'll see for that. It'll be the last episode of Danganronpa. I'll finish the game, the game I finish on the channel. And then maybe someday I'll go into Danganronpa. I have the game, so yeah. So yeah, I'll be able to finish this game. Oh, yeah. 5 hours. Next stream would be a little bit over 5 hours, 5.5 hours long. Yeah. No, I mean, it'll probably be a sit-up. It'll be a stream. It'll probably be a sit-up stream. For them diving. Yeah. So I'll try to finish it in the next stream. Is anybody sign off? Let's say beta.